What if I told you that there's a technology that could eliminate the need for banks, make elections completely transparent, and ensure that no one can ever lie about owning something again? What if this same technology could revolutionize everything from how we buy coffee to how we prove our identity online? You've probably heard the word blockchain thrown around in conversations about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, or the latest tech trends. Maybe you've nodded along pretending to understand, while inside you're thinking, what the heck is everyone talking about? Well, today, we're going to change that forever. By the end of this video, you'll understand blockchain better than 90% of people out there. And here is the best part, I am going to explain it so simply that even a 5-year-old could understand it. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why you need a bank to send money to your friend? Or why you can't just create a digital photo and claim it's worth $1 million? The answer to both of these questions lies in understanding blockchain technology. So stick around, because what you are about to learn isn't just cool tech stuff, it is knowledge that could literally change how you think about money, ownership, and trust in the digital world. Let's start with the absolute basics. Imagine you and your friends keep a shared notebook to track who owes who money. Sarah bought pizza for everyone, so John owes her $5. Mike paid for the movie tickets, so everyone owes him $3 each. You write all of this down in the notebook. Now, here is the problem. What if someone erases a line or changes the numbers when no one is looking? What if Mike decides he wants to change his $3 to $30? In the physical world, you might notice the eraser marks or different handwriting. But in the digital world, this becomes much trickier. This is exactly the problem that blockchain solves. Think of blockchain as a magical notebook that has some incredible superpowers. First, once something is written in this notebook, it can never be erased or changed. Second, everyone gets an identical copy of this notebook, and all copies update automatically whenever something new is added. Third, before anything can be written in the notebook, the majority of people who have copies must agree that the new information is correct. So let's break down the word blockchain itself. It's literally a chain of blocks. Imagine each page of our magical notebook is a block and all the pages are connected together in order, forming a chain. Each block contains a bunch of transactions or information, and once a block is full, a new block is created and connected to the previous one. But here's where it gets really clever. Each block doesn't just contain the transactions, it also contains a special fingerprint of the previous block. This fingerprint is called a hash, and it is like a unique DNA signature for that block. If anyone tries to change something in an old block, its fingerprint would change, and everyone would immediately notice that something fishy is going on. Think of it like this. Imagine you're making a chain out of paper links, but each link has a special code written on it that depends on what is written on the previous link. If someone tries to change what's written on an earlier link, the code wouldn't match anymore, and you'd know someone tampered with your chain. Now, you might be wondering, okay, this sounds cool, but who exactly is keeping all these copies of the notebook? Great question. In a blockchain network, there are thousands or even millions of computers around the world that all keep identical copies of this digital ledger. These computers are run by regular people, companies, and organizations. They're called nodes in the network. When someone wants to add a new transaction to the blockchain, they broadcast it to the entire network. All these computers then check the transaction to make sure it's legitimate. They ask questions like, does this person actually have the money they are trying to send? And are they trying to spend the same money twice? If the majority of computers agree that the transaction is valid, it gets added to a new block. But here's the really mind-blowing part. No single person, company, or government controls the system. It's completely decentralized. This means that no one can just decide to shut it down, censor transactions, or manipulate the records. It's like having a referee for a game, But instead of one referee who might be biased or corrupt, you have thousands of referees all watching each other and making sure everyone plays by the rules. Let me give you a real-world analogy that might make this even clearer. Think about Wikipedia for a moment. Anyone can edit Wikipedia articles, but there are thousands of editors and users who constantly monitor changes. If someone tries to vandalize an article or add false information, it gets caught and corrected very quickly because so many people are watching. Blockchain works on a similar principle, except it's even more secure because once information is confirmed and added, it becomes practically impossible to change. Now, let's talk about why this is such a big deal. Throughout human history, we've always needed trusted third parties to verify transactions and keep records. If you wanted to send money to someone, you needed a bank. If you wanted to prove you owned a piece of land, you needed a government registry. If you wanted to verify someone's identity, you needed some official institution. But what if the bank makes a mistake? What if the government registry gets corrupted or hacked? What if the institution you're trusting turns out to be untrustworthy? These problems happen all the time in the real world. Blockchain technology offers an alternative where trust is built into the system itself rather than relying on a single institution. Let's explore some practical examples to make this more concrete. Bitcoin, which you've probably heard of, is the most famous application of blockchain technology. In simple terms, Bitcoin is like digital cash that uses blockchain to keep track of who owns what. Instead of relying on banks to verify that you have money and to process your transactions, the blockchain network does all of this automatically. When you send Bitcoin to someone, you're essentially telling the entire network, "Hey, I want to transfer ownership of this digital money from my address to this other address." The network checks that you actually own the Bitcoin you're trying to send, and if everything checks out, the transaction gets recorded in the blockchain forever. No bank needed, no transaction fees to middlemen, and no one can reverse or censor the transaction. But blockchain isn't just about digital money. Let's imagine you're an artist who creates digital artwork. In the traditional world, it's very easy for someone to copy your digital art and claim it's theirs. But with blockchain technology, you can create something called an NFT, or non-fungible token, which is basically a digital certificate of ownership that's recorded on the blockchain. This certificate proves that you're the original creator and owner of that specific piece of digital art. Or consider voting in elections. Traditional voting systems have all sorts of problems. Ballots can be lost, miscounted, or tampered with. People worry about election fraud or mistakes. But imagine a voting system built on blockchain. Every vote would be recorded transparently and permanently. Anyone could verify the results, but no one could change or delete votes after they're cast. The entire election process could be completely transparent while still protecting voter privacy. Supply chain tracking is another incredible use case. Ever wonder if that organic food you're buying is really organic? Or whether those conflict-free diamonds are actually conflict-free? With blockchain, every step of a product's journey from creation to your hands can be recorded and verified. Farmers could record when and how they grew their crops, inspectors could verify organic certification, shippers could log transport conditions, and retailers could confirm authenticity. You could literally scan a QR code and see the complete, tamper-proof history of your product. Healthcare is another area where blockchain could be revolutionary. Right now, your medical records are scattered across different hospitals, clinics, and insurance companies, often in incompatible systems. With blockchain, you could own and control your complete medical history. You could give doctors permission to access exactly the information they need when they need it, while keeping the rest private. Emergency rooms could instantly access your critical health information with your permission, potentially saving your life. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? Well, blockchain technology isn't perfect, and it does have some limitations we should talk about. First, blockchain networks can be slow compared to traditional systems. Bitcoin, for example, can only process about 7 transactions per second, while Visa can handle thousands. However, newer blockchain technologies are solving this problem with various innovations. Second, blockchain networks, especially Bitcoin, use a lot of energy. This is because the computers in the network need to perform complex calculations to secure the system. It's kind of like having thousands of security guards all double-checking each other's work. It's very secure, but it requires a lot of resources. Again, newer technologies are making this much more efficient. Third, while blockchain makes data very secure and permanent, this can also be a double-edged sword. If you accidentally send money to the wrong address, or if you lose your private keys, which are like ultra-secure passwords, there's often no way to undo the mistake or recover your funds. But despite these challenges, the potential of blockchain technology is enormous. We're still in the early stages, kind of like the internet in the 1990s. Most people didn't understand it. It was slow and clunky, but look where it led us. Some experts believe that blockchain could eventually replace many of the centralized systems we use today. Instead of storing your photos on Google servers, you might store them on a decentralized blockchain network where no single company controls your data. Instead of using traditional banks, you might use decentralized financial services that operate automatically through smart contracts. Smart contracts, by the way, are another incredible feature of advanced blockchain systems. Think of them as digital agreements that execute themselves automatically when certain conditions are met. For example, you could create a smart contract that automatically pays your rent on the first of every month or automatically releases payment to a freelancer when they complete a project to your satisfaction. No lawyers, no banks, no middlemen required. So, to wrap up, let's recap what we've learned. Blockchain is essentially a shared, tamper-proof digital ledger that's maintained by a network of computers around the world. It allows people to transfer value, prove ownership, and create trust without relying on centralized institutions. It's transparent, secure, and permanent. The technology behind Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is just the beginning. Blockchain has the potential to revolutionize voting, supply chains, healthcare, digital identity, and countless other areas of our lives. While it's not perfect and still has challenges to overcome, blockchain represents a fundamental shift in how we think about trust, ownership, and value exchange in the digital age. The next time someone mentions blockchain or cryptocurrency, you won't have to pretend to understand. You'll actually know what they're talking about, and more importantly, you'll understand why it matters. This technology isn't just changing how we think about money, it is changing how we think about trust itself in our increasingly digital world. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be using blockchain technology every day without even realizing it, just like how you use the internet today without thinking about the complex protocols that make it work. The future is being built on blockchain technology, and now you're equipped to understand and participate in that future.